Hello and welcome to a video all about the TechWiz Studio. Studio is a tool that enables users to configure signs in individual sign languages using an avatar. So here we are on the login page to the Studio. Note that the tool will take a little bit of time to load. Studio is accessible at the link displayed on the screen or found above this video in the TechWiz course. Studio is not freely accessible because using it takes some practice and quality control over the inputs is important. Additionally, inputs are language specific, which means individual users should only have the access rights to add signs for a specific sign language. Nevertheless, for the purposes of this video and certification, we have created user accounts that are publicly available for anybody to use. Using these accounts, you can log in and try TechWiz Studio in any of the supported languages. The account credentials are specific to a single sign language that can be configured with that account. The credentials for all languages are available in the text above this video, but we will also put the list on the screen right here. If you use those credentials, you will have access to the Studio and be able to configure signs for yourself. Having some practice in using all the tools, not just the Studio, will also make you better prepared for the certification exam. Pause here to copy the username and password of the language you are most comfortable with. For the purposes of this video, we will use the administrator's credentials for German Sign Language, which means that hand configurations in the Studio will be specific to German Sign Language. Some languages also have the interfaces translated into national languages, but otherwise, you will have the same experience whichever language you choose. You will not be able to choose this account because this is an administrator account with some additional functionalities, including the power to validate configured signs. Make sure to use the credentials for one of the previously shown freely accessible accounts. After we have inserted the credentials, we click Login to gain access to the tool. And here we have the Studio tool, with the avatar in the middle and different configuration options around it. The first thing you might consider doing is using the full screen version that you can access by clicking on the button with two arrows in the bottom right corner. To exit the full screen mode, just press Escape on your keyboard. Note that the exit button in the bottom left corner will log you out of the Studio and not exit the full screen. Now we can move to the top left corner where we can enter the word for which we will make a sign. It is possible to configure the sign without setting this field, but it has to be set if we want to save the configured sign. In the drop-down under the text field, we would be able to see all the words that have previously been configured, starting with the letters in the first text box. If we left the box empty, we would see all the configured words. The button New Word will delete all and any configuration that was made and the word in the text fields above. When we say delete configuration, we mean reset anything that was done with the avatar back to the starting position. On the other hand, the Save Word button will permanently save the word and the associated configuration into the database and then reset the configurator as if the New Word button was selected. Under those buttons, there is some empty space where more advanced features like defining the context of the signs will be implemented in the future, and at the bottom we have the current language we are working in. In our case, that is International Sign. And right after that is the button to log out of the Studio marked as Exit, but we don't want to do that right now. So, let us move to the main part of Studio with the avatar in the center. There are a few options to adjust the perspective from which we see the avatar to help us better configure its movements. We can zoom in and out using the scroll wheel. We can rotate the viewing angle by changing the slide bar above the avatar's head. To recenter the camera, we can just click the camera next to the slider. And we can add a grid to the background by clicking on the grid button in the bottom right. The grid can help in positioning or synchronizing the avatar's hands. The avatar itself can be configured in many different ways. First, there is the position of the arms, which can be adjusted by simply clicking and dragging the arms to the intended position. To change the position of the arms in the three-dimensional space, you will have to rotate the camera. The hands can be adjusted in two ways. One is the hand configuration and the other is the hand orientation. The hand configuration defines the position of the fingers and can be set by clicking on the left drop-down for the avatar's right hand and the right menu for the left hand. In the drop-down, you can see all the different hand configurations. Note that the hand configurations are specific to a sign language, or rather, not all possible finger positions are used in a specific sign language. Which hand configurations are available will be pre-configured for a given sign language. Hand orientation, which as the name implies determines orientation of the hand, is changed by clicking on the two arrows next to the drop-down menu. Three differently colored circles appear around the selected hand, which can be used to change the orientation of the hand in the three different dimensions. To change the orientation, click on one of the circles and drag. The wrist will rotate around the center of the selected circle. Both hands can be edited at the same time. Note that while the rotation of either hand is enabled, arms cannot be moved. To disable the rotation of hands, we have to click on the circling arrows again. Now we can again freely move the arms. To move the body of the avatar, we have to go to the bottom right where there is an icon of a man waving its arms and body. This icon opens and closes the menu to tilt the avatar's body forward and backward and left to the right. We can reset the avatar to the neutral starting position by clicking on the rotating arrow. Specific head, eyes, mouth positions or movements are expected with some signs. That is why it is possible to change the avatar's head position and facial expressions. Both are accessed by clicking on the icon of a face above the view slider. On the left hand side, we have different configurations that can be used for the eyes and the mouth. The controls for the head rotation also become available after clicking on the head icon, but on the right hand side. Three different sliders enable the user to tilt the avatar's head forward, back and side to side and to rotate the head left and right. By clicking on the head icon again, the menus close. So far you might have noticed that while we were able to manipulate the avatar to take basically any possible position, there was no actual movement or gestures involved. What we have created until now, with a combination of all the configuration options we have shown, is one avatar position. Movement is introduced through differences between multiple positions. To create another position, we click on the plus sign next to the drop-down menu with a 1 in it. You will notice almost nothing changed, but there is now a number 2 in the drop-down menu next to the plus we just clicked. The number represents the position in a sequence. That means we are currently in the second avatar position. 3 would mean we are configuring the third position and so on. Because new positions are always created from the previous position, the newly created positions are always identical to an already existing position. In our case, the newly created position is the same as position 1, therefore nothing has changed visually and it does not even if we change between the two positions. To see a change, we must change the configuration of one of the positions. For example, let's do something like this. If we now switch between the two positions, we see the position 1, which we did not change, stays unchanged, and position 2 now contains the changes we made. To animate the change from position 1 to 2, we can play the sequence of positions by clicking on the play button in the top right. We can now see the first movements of the avatar. Note that if we are not in the first position when we play the sequence, the transition to the first position will also be animated. We can speed up or slow down the animation by adjusting the speed using the buttons next to the play button. For example, let us replay the current movement, but this time with 8 times the speed. We can duplicate any of the already existing positions. We can do that by either selecting any of the existing positions and pressing the plus icon, or opening the drop-down menu and clicking on the copy icon next to the position we want to duplicate. The newly created positions are always added to the end of the sequence, meaning they get the next smallest number position that does not yet exist. Because we copied position 1, the third position is the same as the first, and the fourth position is the same as the second. When we copied the second position, the new position took the fourth position because third already existed. We can now try and play this to see how multiple positions would be animated in a sequence. If we ever need to reorder positions, we can do that by clicking on the icon with the arrows up and down. This will open the drop-down menu with all the positions. To change the positions, you just drag the position into the correct order. After you are happy with the sequence, you must confirm the changes. The positions in the drop-down get renumbered so they are always in order. If we ever have a position we no longer want, we can delete it by selecting the position from the drop-down menu and then pressing the minus icon. Like before, the positions are automatically renumbered. You might have already noticed there is also a search field at the top of the tool. This search looks for any word or rather signs that have already been configured and saved. Any such signs can be added to the sign we are currently working on, or it can be used to build upon. To demonstrate this, we will firstly use this trashcan icon in the bottom right corner, which functions similarly to the new word button from before, as it will delete all the configurations, for example positions or facial expressions, but it will not delete the word for which you are currently creating a sign. As you can see, we have lost everything we have done so far, including all the positions we have created. If we now search for an already existing word using either the search field or the drop-down list, which contains all the signs that were ever configured for the specific sign language we are working on, and select a sign, we can add it to the current configuration by clicking on the plus icon right of the drop-down with all the existing signs. The sign that was in the drop-down is added to the current sign we are working on. You will notice the first position in our current sequence is the default position and the only position we had before we imported a sign. All the following positions are listed in the order of the imported sign. This helps when configuring signs that share elements with other signs or signs that are a combination of multiple signs. Instead of configuring everything from scratch for a new sign, we can import a sign that was already configured and take elements of it that are useful to the currently configuring sign and delete the rest. After we are done configuring a sign, we must not forget to save the created sign. In the upper right corner, there are also options for help, registering new users and changing your current password. As non-admin users, you will not have the option to register new accounts. This concludes a short explanation on how to configure the avatar to sign in a sign language. However, you might have noticed another element in the tool we have not discussed. In this instance, we can see it because we are logged in as an administrator. Otherwise, validation is only available to users who have been verified as fluent speakers of a given sign language. Their job is to validate all the signs that other users have created. Here in the validation tab, we can see that almost everything looks the same, with the exception of the options on the left-hand side, where validators get a more fine-grained search option to find signs that were not yet validated. After selecting a specific sign, they have the option to approve the sign if everything is correct, adjust it by themselves if they want, or send it back to the user who originally configured it with instructions on what needs further attention, or they also have the power to delete signs that were not yet validated. Users who get comments from the validators can read them by clicking on the envelope icon. We will stop the showcase here, but there is a following video where we will make a few signs using Studio as an example, just to familiarize you with the tool some more and for you to actually be able to see how it can be used from the beginning to the end. We hope you will try the TechWiz Studio for yourself. Do not forget to use the credentials provided in this video or in the TechWiz course where this video is available to try out the TechWiz Studio for yourself. If you wish to learn more about the project and its results, continue to watch the videos, or you can follow and/or contact us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or visit the project's website. Thank you for watching and goodbye.